Ah, there you go, kids. Welcome to Sports Frenzy 2.0, the weekend edition. Cracking a beer for all you blue collar men and women out there as we approach this Labor Day weekend. We're recording here on September 1st. This will drop on
The
the 4th of Labor Day weekend, which we're all working for the weekend and looking for the secret to our success in this life.
Yes. We're trying to fit as many 80s songs into our
movies,
Labor Day
whatever
edition as possible.
I'm the conquistador Dave Height.
And I am the maestro Kevin Crane, and that is my beer. So I'll try not to get sloppy on you here. And don't you get too sloppy this weekend. No drinking and driving. Don't
If you're
do
gonna
it.
drink, stay home. Be safe.
Yep. You got college football, and we're going to give you a little bit of help in terms of, well, unfortunately this week, mostly stuff to stay away from.
Yes.
But of course, the big Marvel movie's coming out this week, Shang-Chi. So maybe you guys can go out and check that out. We're going to start off with rock and roll with our music segment. This is going to be kind of an odd episode because, as I've promised on our Sports Frenzy regular sports edition earlier, I am going into an epic meltdown here coming up in segment 3.
Yep.
I'm tying dumbasses in with just I am done with Hollywood. I am done with their insults. I am done with their condescension. I'm going to sum it all up with help from my best friend, my brother from another mother, the conquistador. But first, let's talk about some good stuff. Let's talk about some rock and roll. Unfortunately, we start off with bad news. We start off with pandemic, COVID delays for tours.
No.
Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons both get COVID.
Yep.
So the Kiss farewell tour that will not end gets dragged out a little bit longer. We were lucky enough to see them at the beginning.
Yeah, one of the first couple shows.
Yes, so the way things are going, if they keep pushing dates back and setting up new dates, we might end up going to see them at the tail end of the farewell tour as well.
It could very well happen. My boys would love to do that.
Yep, I could see that happening.
So.
Of course, personally affecting us is the fact that the Doobie Brothers, who we have got tickets to go see here coming up in a couple weeks.
Yeah, they've pushed back a few dates here, and fingers crossed they're supposed to start up 3 days before our show.
Right, they're supposed to get back on the road. They're being very coy, very mysterious about this. And kudos to our bud, the Big Blue W, Bill Lazowski, one of our panel members on our regular Sports Frenzy podcast, which you can check out every Wednesday night or Thursday morning, depending on what we feel like doing in terms of posting it. Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, all over the place.
Check it out.
Just like this one.
Only more meltdowns.
He got to see the Doobie Brothers the night before the shit hit the fan. He is such a lucky bastard. Because the day after he saw them, Michael McDonald did not perform with them due to an undisclosed illness, and they still will not confirm or deny whether he has COVID. But then they turn around and postpone 4 shows, saying that somebody in their entourage
has tested positive.
So as Dave said, we've got about a 3-day buffer where everybody, McDonald, the band, everybody's supposed to be back together, ready to rock and roll, with a couple days to spare to avoid breaking our hearts again. Because keep in mind, kids,
we were supposed to have seen them last year.
Yeah. When the tour started here about 2 weeks ago, it had been 600 days plus from when the shows were announced to when the tour actually started. Think about that. Over 600 days between the announcement of the tour and the actual start of the tour.
Crazy. Insane.
So, again, hopefully, fingers crossed, please say a rock and roll prayer for us. We
No
do want to
kidding.
see them. We do want to see them with Michael McDonald at full strength.
Yes.
So
And
hopefully,
these next couple weeks are critical to our concert going.
yes, very critical. We've got 3 massive major shows coming up, including 2 that I will literally be heartbroken. Yes, I will say that because it makes me sound like a wussy.
Well,
I will be heartbroken.
We've got 3, but Mrs. C and I have a 4th
Oh, that's
in there
right.
as well.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
So,
Yep.
yeah, it's a big
and
run.
that'll hurt her if she doesn't get to see the Struts.
That's right.
I know that'll devastate her.
And the boys will go apocalyptic if we don't get to see the priest.
Yeah, so yeah, fingers crossed here over the next 2.5 weeks for us on the concert front. There's a lull there after that, so then COVID can run its course, and then we'll start back up again in November.
Yes.
I think I mentioned this before, still sticking with the Doobie Brothers. They do have a new album coming out, October the 1st, Liberté.
Liberté.
Sounds like Cartman.
You will respect my liberté.
Yeah, it sounds like Cartman is the guy running their A&R and naming their albums. But yeah, it's Liberte with a little accent on it. So how would you say that? I would say Liberté.
Liberté.
I've heard a couple songs off of it. It sounds okay. Hopefully,
when the full thing's out, we'll give you a review on it.
Yeah, and I'm hoping we might. There's a chance we could get free copies, because when we initially got these tickets for this tour, almost 2 freaking years ago, they said they were going to give us free copies of a planned live album based on the tour. So now, since they've had time to actually put together a new studio album, maybe we'll get free copies of that instead.
I would much prefer that.
And that's what Jimmy Buffett did for his last tour.
Yeah.
Now, he got postponed, but he was gracious enough to send out copies of his new album, or back then, new album, Life on the Flip Side, right before the tour started. And then, of course, it got postponed.
Yeah.
But that gave us
plenty
a
of
year
time
to listen to the album,
to it, and enjoy it, and be ready, because he played a few off of it.
Yep. So, fingers crossed on many fronts with the Doobie Brothers.
Yes.
I love Chris Isaak. I know he's not everybody's taste. A little bit bluesy, a little bit too Elvis ripoff for some people. I love him.
He's good.
I remember watching the Chris Isaak show on Showtime way, way back in the day.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, which you cannot find anywhere.
Good
Anybody
Lord.
out there who knows where I can see, find, or buy the Chris Isaak show, send us a message, please. I loved it. It was funnier than hell. It was great.
It was all not quite as good as Bizarre.
But Chris Isaak has released his pandemic song, The Pandemic Blues, subtitled I Can't Take It.
Well titled.
And it has got, well, not as much rage as I can muster, but this song has probably got about as much rage as Chris Isaak can muster, because seems like he's a genuinely nice guy.
Mellow.
He's a nice guy. He seems like he really is. The Stones tour, I think we mentioned last week. If we didn't, they will continue to tour without Charlie Watts. They are releasing a ton of tracks, unreleased tracks, I think, from the Tattoo You sessions.
Interesting.
A new song I did listen to. I want to listen to it a couple more times. Maybe we can review it next week. Title makes it sound like a wussy song, but I actually, on first listen, was very impressed with it. It's called Living in the Heart of Love. So maybe we might have a song review for you next week. And by the way, I want to give props and kudos to the Conquistador for last week. For him
What? Wait,
picking up.
Say that one more time.
Nothing. I didn't say nothing. No compliments coming your way. No. Very astute of you. Very cool that you picked up on the songs I've been mentioning over the previous couple podcasts, and you listened to them and got your reviews in on them. So we're going to keep doing that. Speaking of which, before we get to our unique album review, did you get to listen to I know you said you listened to the first Iron Maiden release, The Writing on the Wall. Did you have enough time to listen to Stratego?
I did. I listened to both Writing on the Wall and Stratego.
Okay. What are the Conquistadors' impressions?
We will start with the first one, Writing on the Wall. Kind of took me by surprise when it started. It had that mellow country riff feel going on, which is like, really? Iron Maiden? Country sounding? Interesting. It got going pretty good. I enjoyed it. It wasn't phenomenal, but it was enjoyable. I'll give it 2.5.
Now, what about Stratego?
Stratego. This one, I kind of felt like Iron Maiden meets Styx, kind of with the feel it had to it. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was more solid. It was kind of an upbeat little tune. But again, I'll give it 2.5.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I did listen to Stratego multiple times this past week. I haven't listened to Writing on the Wall in a while since it first came out. And of course, the album, as we tape here on the 1st of September, the album Senjutsu, the new Iron Maiden, will be out this Friday the 3rd, double album.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just...
It's...
How do I put this?
It's like they're trying to do something different.
I don't know. It seems like it's a combination of things. It seems like maybe Bruce Dickinson's voice isn't quite as strong as it used to be. The songwriting isn't quite as unique as it used to be.
Yeah.
This is not...
It's not typical Maiden.
It's not up to the par, the level they set with Power Slave and Number of the Beast and all those classic albums from the early 80s and mid 80s.
I know everybody's going to evolve and do some things differently, but there's still the core of what you are.
Yeah, and again, it's a very tough time for rockers right now to try to get airplay, to try to get your stuff out there. I'm trying to look and find more new stuff on YouTube, which seems to be the way to go. Spotify helps when they can, to try to break new songs from these classic rock bands.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I look back, I didn't even really listen to anything off their last album, The Book of Souls. So I just don't know if maybe they're just not getting the push at all from... Now, you've mentioned that this has been played locally on our hard rock station, The Bear.
Yeah.
So at least they're getting a little bit of airplay that way. But yeah, it's just... I remember when I liked them the most. I'm not going to claim to be a diehard Maiden fan. I do like them. Would still like to see them once in concert. But this just... like with so many other bands, just doesn't have the old energy, the old pop.
Right. And granted, they're getting older, more mellow, but still the bass sound isn't there.
Right.
Through these first two.
Right. Maybe, again, now thinking about it, maybe it's guitar too. There's just not those driving quick riffs like there used to be. Like something like the Trooper, you know, just it's not there. It's just missing something.
Yeah.
Okay. Now what we're going to do is we are going to do an album review of an album that actually came out last year. And we have to explain this a little bit. Of course, we have put down the ground rules. We have said we are not reviewing old stuff unless it's something we have never watched or listened to before.
Right.
Now, this one was tricky because Dave, again, we just started this podcast early in 2021. This album came out early in 2020, right around the start of COVID and the pandemic and the
when all hell
lockdowns.
broke loose.
So I got access to it back then.
I'm finally catching up to it.
Right. So Dave last week mentioned, hey, Soul Asylum's got an album out. And I said, yeah, it came out last year. I've got it. They're still touring, because of delays again from the pandemic. They're still touring right now for this album.
Relevant.
So it's still fairly relevant. They're actually going to play Fort Wayne near us this weekend with Local H. And I am so upset. I can't go. I can't convince anybody to go. I was really close. This close. I'm holding my fingers a millimeter apart. I was almost tempted to buy one ticket and go by myself. Almost.
Yeah. It was a combination of reasons for us not to go out. I already had tickets to go to the first day of the U.S. Nationals down in Indy for the Drags. And it's my son's 18th birthday weekend. So we've got some stuff going on.
Legitimate reasons. And then my daughter, I tried to get her to go. She thinks it's more important to drive to Bloomington to hang out with her friend for a couple days. Jeez, these kids, these selfish kids.
I know, damn it.
What happened to caring about your parents? Caring for the elderly.
You heard it hit from him first.
But anyway.
Soul Asylum, hurry up and wait.
Yes, as we mentioned, released in early 2020, but they're still touring for it. Dave just discovered it, so we're going to review it. The funny thing is, I tend to make lists and best of compilations of albums and songs. And I looked in my 2020 journal, and I actually have this as my number 4 album of 2020.
Really? Most intriguing.
Now, that being said, before you give, I want you to go first, give your take before we start comparing notes on songs and things like that. I will say, even though it was my number 4 album of 2020, I think 2020 was, because of the pandemic and people weren't able to record, it was a very thin, possibly weak year for music, new music.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
With that being said, you take over and you tell me what you thought of Hurry Up and Wait.
Okay. I've got 1, 2, 3, probably 5 songs on it that I really enjoyed. I will kind of go in order of what I liked on these.
All right, yeah, let's compare. Let's compare and contrast, see what we got.
So, starting off, my favorite on this one was Silent Treatment.
That's one of my favorites, yep.
I thought
not my favorite, but I would say that's number 4.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was kind of mellow, but it had a nice little beat. I kind of liked the lyrics to it.
The lyrics were old school Soul Asylum.
Yes, that's what I liked best.
She said she was a mermaid. She said you liked horses.
Yep.
That's the kind of abstract, goofy stuff that somehow Dave Pirner makes sound deep.
Yes.
Legitimate.
Yeah.
Us saying it sounds silly.
It does, but when he sings
sounds heartfelt.
It makes sense.
Right.
So it just had that good vibe to it that I really enjoyed.
Agree completely.
So next up, I enjoyed Got It Pretty Good. It had a nice little 60s vibe to it.
Yeah.
And kind of had, it was.
That's my favorite song on the album. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's second for me on that one.
That's just straight on rocker.
It is.
Kind of reminded me of the song they did for, was it the Clerk soundtrack?
Yeah.
Yeah. It kind of had that same kind of vibe.
Yeah.
To it.
Next up, Hopped Up and Feelin'.
Hopped Up Feelin', yeah.
Hopped Up Feelin'.
Yeah, I got that
really
one too.
enjoyed that one. Rocked out pretty damn good.
Yep.
So, and then I kind of liked Here We Go.
I'm not as big on that one.
It kind of had that classic. These last 3 are in no particular order, but Here We Go, I kind of enjoyed. It was more that classic Soul Asylum. Could have been on Grave Dance.
Yep.
Had that feel to it.
Yeah, because I was thinking about when you were talking about Silent Treatment. I thought
That could have
Silent,
been
either on that or on Let Your Dim Light Shine.
Yeah,
one of those
one
two.
of those two. Yeah, for sure. The first song on there, the beginning, was kind of a poppy little tune, so was decent, not great. And then the last one they had on there, Silly Things.
Love Silly Things.
That was a fun one.
That is just a great little closer for an album.
It is.
I've done
a
lot of stupid shit. I've done a lot of silly things.
Yeah.
That's another song that fits perfectly like Silent Treatment into what Dave Pirner does best.
Yes, for
Self-deprecating, world-weary, yet observant.
Yeah. And there were three that I really did not care for.
Okay, let's go over those.
So we'll go with Busy Signals. Just kind of seemed completely out of place on this album.
Yep. Okay.
Dead Letter.
Dead Letter sounded to me
like Smelly Cat.
I was going to say, I wasn't going to be quite that cruel. I was going to say it almost sounded like Pirner trying to write a Simon and Garfunkel song.
Yeah, to me it sounded like that coffee house. It sounded like Phoebe.
Yep,
it had that mellow.
Yeah.
It had that beat and the tune of Smelly Cat. And parts of it.
Yeah. Now, I didn't dislike it necessarily. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, it's got that over-the-top folk kind of vibe to it.
Yeah. And then the other weak one, I did not really care for Freezer Burn.
Okay. Yeah, see, now, here's how I look at the album. Now, going back, I haven't listened to it in a while, but I did listen to it a lot back in mid-2020. And again, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, I did enjoy it, but I think it was more because there was just not a lot of music coming out, and I just needed something new.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to rip on the album. I look at my notes, and I didn't hate or really dislike any of the songs, but there are a lot of them where I've got my notations of, okay.
Yeah. If I Told You, kind of a generic melody.
I do like the one line in that. I did write down the line.
There's one line.
If I told you I love you, would you hold it against me?
Yeah.
I love that. Again, typical Dave Pirner.
Yeah. But again, that's such a generic over-the-top line.
Now, this is also an album where I think they released it doesn't matter as much as it used to back in the 80s and 90s. I think the first release was the wrong song. The first release off this was Social Butterfly, and I kind of look at that as another, it
was a mediocre.
It's okay.
It wasn't.
I've got a lot of
You know what? That's what I said
here.
Okay.
Yeah. My top four, pretty much I agree with you. Got It Pretty Good, Silly Things, Hopped Up Feeling, and Silent Treatment those are the four songs on this album that I love. Everything else, I'm a big Soul Asylum guy. I can tolerate it. It's not close to their best work.
No.
It's not a disaster.
No, but you take the top four that we appreciate, and there you go.
And keep in mind, Silent Treatment, Hopped Up Feeling, and Silly Things are the last three songs on the album.
It's a solid
closes
ending.
Strong.
It does.
Yeah, listening to it over again, I know you mentioned the beginning. I really think that could be my least favorite song on the album. It's such a wussy way to start. It sounds like it's supposed to be a song for a commencement, a high school commencement.
Yeah, it's not
that positive, this is the beginning of your great adventure.
See, I tried to take away discounting it being the first song on there.
Right.
I kind of had to go back on that one because I discounted it right off the bat, but then I put it as one of the better ones on there overall. But there's no doubt the final three are the solid part of the album.
Yep.
Overall, I'll give it 2.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably go with you on that. I'll give it a strong 2.5.
Yeah. What solid stuff makes up for the weaker stuff.
Well, and here's what I want to say. Like I said, my notes, I didn't dislike any of the songs. I think this is one of those cases where the sum of the parts, the whole, is greater than the parts. The album as a whole holds up pretty good.
Yeah.
But if you start trying to pick out songs, and you're going to be disappointed.
Right.
Unless you pick out the 4 we like. But I think if you just listen to it beginning to end, it'd be something I could see putting on in the background.
It's something to listen to.
Yeah, it's not terrible. It is not terrible.
No.
It's okay. Not their worst, not their best.
Right. There we go.
So there you go. If you haven't listened to Hurry Up and Wait, go ahead, give it a shot.
It's worth listening to.
Yep. And Soul Asylum,
it's good for sitting around the fire pit this Labor Day weekend.
And you do, again, we want to encourage these bands, we want to encourage these performers to go out, make new music like this. So we should try to listen to it on Spotify, buy it if you want to. Whatever you can do to get this music out to your friends, to your family, out to the forefront again, I'm all for it. Unfortunately, I don't think we've got much in the way of new music coming out here for a while. So
no, it's going to kind of be the doldrums.
But we'll have concert reviews for you kids coming up here over the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yes, we will.
To make up for it. And of course, as we talked about earlier,
maybe we might pick, if they've got an album out within the last year or so that they're doing, we might give a review on it as well.
Yep. Now, I will take the burden on that. I will try to point stuff out to Dave. Obviously, I'm much more obsessed with new music. So if I see something that maybe came out in 2020, late 2019, that he might be interested in, like this, that he wasn't aware of, I'll kind of nudge it his way.
We'll get there.
I actually do have one idea now that popped into my head that I would be very interested to see your opinion on. If it 2-3 weeks down the road, thinking about this concert coming up. We just reviewed Soul Asylum. I think you should listen to the new Local H album.
I do like Local H.
The new album, Lifers. Again, this was a 2020 release. Came out, I think, within 2 to 3 months of Hurry Up and Wait.
Okay.
This is harder rocking. This is really intense. This was my number 2 album, I believe.
A hard rocking for you?
Oh, not screamo. Oh, wait, we're going to do a ballad. And I want you to die. It's not like that. That's stuff you listen to.
Chevelle.
5 Finger Death, Shine Face Down, Book, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Guys who got tattoos up their nostrils and crap like that.
Yeah, the good stuff.
We got to disagree on some stuff, kids.
There you go.
That's what makes the dynamic work.
He is more mellow.
I am. I'll admit it. No, I'm not going to say yacht rock. Don't go that far.
I will not go that far.
Occasionally I'll indulge. Maybe once in a while I'll listen to Christopher Cross. Okay?
He's a little more prog than I am. Actually, a lot more prog than I am.
I don't know. I don't think so. Prog, you're starting. I'm not a huge Yes fan. You
listen to him more than I do.
Not that much, though. We're both like Rush. Not like I'm listening to Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Ugh.
Or King Crimson or that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, I will admit I am more mellow, though. I am. I do occasionally like a solid, mellow album. That being said, we'll see. Maybe Local H next week or the week after.
Could be.
Tremonti's coming up within the next 3 or 4 weeks. That's one we're going to have to listen to.
That I will have to give a try.
All right. So, that will be it for segment 1 here of the weekend edition. Get ready. It's coming. Maybe not in the next segment, but in the final segment, the epic rant.
Get ready for the blow up.
Stay tuned, kids. We'll be right back. I got to crack another beer.
In a world of politically correct sports coverage, 2 individuals stand alone as the last bastion of sanity. The Maestro and the Conquistador star in Sports Frenzy 2.0, the podcast.
Available on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Apple, Overcast, and Castbox.
Happy Labor Day weekend, kids. I'm the Conquistador Dave Height,
I'm the maestro, Kevin Crane.
and this is Sports Frenzy 2.0, the weekend edition, here on September 4th, 2021, as we record on the 1st. This segment, we're going to start off with a little literary frenzy as I do a book review for you. This one, Dead by Dawn, Paul Doiron's 12th installment of main game warden investigator Mike Bowditch. So this one started off, was it 12 years ago now, with Poacher's Son. Not a bad little series. There have been some clunkers in there along the way, but in this one, solid outing for him. Probably one of his strongest books. Christmas time, and Mike finds himself coming back from having his wolf dog hybrid having a checkup, and they're trying to get back home for Christmas, and he runs into some homemade spike strips that sends him careening over a cliff into a frozen river, and the fight for survival is on. So this one kind of did a real cool thing where it alternated with what he's currently going through. One chapter, the next chapter is you find out what took place getting up. So he's kind of doing the flashback thing leading up to the whole mystery part of it, which was really, really cool. Kind of a different take that Doiron's done from the past. And so as he's fighting for survival, you're learning what led up to this whole thing. And it harkens back a couple of stories before where you wind up finding what's going on. And life-changing moments take place at the end for him as he's dealing with his current girlfriend and an ex coming back in, who happens to be the daughter of his best friend, father figure, mentor, a retired game warden who's kind of taken him as the son that this other guy never had. So very, very cool. I really, really liked this one. Like I said, it's probably his most solid book. I'm giving this one a 3.5.
Wow, 3.5.
Yeah.
3.5 frenzies.
It was really well done.
And the thing is, I've never heard of this series before. I mean, obviously,
yeah,
with your profession, you're going to have more insight and more, access to much more than I do.
Yeah.
But even I keep up on stuff on Amazon and
now
Barnes and Noble.
It's kind of one of those lower tier series, but Paul Doiron, Doiron, and it's Mike Bowditch is the series, and the first one is Poacher's Son.
I am making notes. You know how slowly I read. Not because I'm dense or stupid. I got so much other crap going on.
Yeah. So
hopefully, now I did want to bring this up, and very high praise for this book, so that's very cool.
Yeah, like I said, he's had some clunkers here and there that weren't as solid, but this one I think is among the best that he's done.
Yeah, I just did a little bit of self-deprecating humor, but it's actually factual. I only get through, on a good year, I might get through 10 to 12 books. That's like one evening for Dave. He literally, how many books did you read last year?
Last year, I might have gotten through, so it wasn't an all-time record, but I think I got through over 60.
Okay. So you can tell the differences in our reading habits. So Dave is obviously going to have a lot more book reviews than I am. We do try to read a decent amount of the same authors.
Yeah.
He has already read the massive hair metal history tome, Nothing But a Good Time, where I am still halfway through it, slogging through it. I got 2 other books I just started, plus I got a 4th coming. So there might be times, especially with books, where Dave reviews a book and then 6 months later I review it.
Be patient.
So keep that in mind. So yeah, I do want to say, I know you finished Nothing But a Good Time. You can review that anytime you want. I don't think you did you?
I don't think so. I'll have to go back and look.
Yeah, so feel free.
So
don't wait for me, is what I'm saying. Don't wait for me. Leave me behind.
I will leave you
Save
behind.
yourself. That being said, we will have a review here coming up. This will be one of the few where I actually do knock it out fairly quickly. We will have the review of the new James Lee Burke, Another Kind of Eden.
Yes, Another Kind of Eden.
I finally got my hands on a copy coming in the mail here within the next 2 or 3 days.
I just got mine from the library last week, and I just started it over the weekend, and I'm about halfway through. It's a shorter one.
Right. So. I know it's less than 300.
Yeah.
James
Lee Burke is such a phenomenal author.
Yeah, he is my favorite. He is my favorite author. I did cave to a certain extent on this. I was telling Dave that I still like hardcovers, especially for my 4 or 5 favorite authors.
Right.
Amazon has gotten really shitty lately with not dropping the prices like they used to, where you used to be able to get a John Sanford or a Robert B. Parker or a James Lee Burke within 2 to 3 weeks for 40% off. Now they won't drop the price below 20 to 25% off for ages.
Yeah, they're being greedy bastards.
And I'm sorry, as much as I love all my authors, I'm not spending that much money on a hardcover. But here's what I did. A little bit of an aside here.
You know, you can get them for free from
the library. Oh my God, yes. You should make up bumper stickers. You could get that free from the library. Slap it on the back of a car.
Yours.
But I decided to start poking around and say, this can't be right. I know Amazon is usually pretty good about price matching. Not always. I have discovered recently that they're not perfect with their price matching. So I actually, for the first time in years and years, went to Barnes & Noble's website. And I saw the same price, 25% off. I'm like, crap, I'm going to have to wait now or go to the library. And you'll be happy. By the way, your niece has been going to the library while she's been back in town. So the protege has been going to the library. Not me.
Bastard. Heathen. Visigoth.
Here's what I did. I was about ready to leave the website, the Barnes & Noble website.
But they said, you're back. We'll give you.
That would have been cool, but no, they didn't do that. There was another option. Not digital. If you want to pay the full price, the full cover price, which I think was $27 or $28.
Yeah.
We'll give you a signed copy.
Ooh, nice.
So I'm getting a signed copy.
Awesome.
Of the latest James Lee Burke.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so it was worth it in this case to pay a little bit more. Because now I will have signed copies of Burke, Parker, and Sanford.
Excellent.
For me, for a collector like me, that's very cool.
That's awesome.
So
very well played.
I will finally get to read the book.
Very well played.
Thank you. I thought it was too. Patience is a virtue. You don't always have to rush out and buy things right away.
That's right.
Or go to the library. I'm just joking, kids. Support your local libraries. Literacy is a good thing.
Yes. Yes, it is. Read. It's fundamental.
All right. We have got a little bit of TV and movie news. I'm going to save the best parts for segment 3.
Of course you are.
But we do have to talk about, we're going to start doing weekly updates on Titans because it
Yes,
is
we
such a
have to.
fantastic show. So,
And of course, we record before the next one comes
right,
out.
we're
So
recording
we're
on
a
the
week
first.
behind.
We're recording on the first. The next episode hits on the second.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have a
So
week.
bear with us on the tape delay.
Yes, we have a week to digest before we review. So of course, we're reviewing episode 5 of season 3, which is basically showing you the birth of the Red Hood.
Yes. How Jason Todd devolves, goes a little mental, has some issues to work through, and winds up getting himself into a spot of trouble.
He ends up being basically a pawn for the Scarecrow.
Yes.
And I think I mentioned this. If I didn't on the podcast, I might have mentioned it off the podcast to you. The guy who plays Scarecrow, Vincent Kartheiser, is the spitting, freaking creepy image of the guy from high school, the music snob who I hate.
Yeah, you mentioned
I can't watch the damn thing without thinking of that. He's got the same voice. He's got the same face.
The same hair, the same beard.
Oh my God, it's creepy. It makes me hate the Scarecrow even more.
As if you had a reason to not hate him.
Jesus God. But again, season 3, stellar, just like the first 2 seasons.
It's so well done. The pace of it is excellent. They don't miss a beat.
Bringing all these classic characters in and redoing them or tweaking them a little bit. Now with the Titans, they've never really done them live action before.
No, this is a first.
So yeah, I do. The thing about this, the way things are going right now, that kind of bothers me just a bit is it Dark Star? Is it Firestars?
Yeah, Dark Star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know where that's going to go.
That episode 3 was different, but as the boys and I thought, Beast Boy Garth kind of came into his own and really took that episode.
Yep. And then we're still waiting. I'm sure we're going to get this soon. Still waiting to see what Raven has done with Wonder Girl.
Yeah. How that's all going to pan out.
So, and I will still rant and rave. Now, Dave has started watching Animal Kingdom. He finally has taken one of my suggestions to heart.
So suck it, Maestro.
Now we work on him with Yellowstone and then Doom Patrol. Actually, Doom Patrol. You've got new seasons of both coming up in the next couple months.
Yeah, well, nothing's going to get caught up with Yellowstone yet.
No access? Or
on that part, yeah.
Well, you should get Peacock, right? So you can get it on Peacock.
Is it on Peacock? I thought it was only on.
No, it's on Peacock. And
okay.
You've got Xfinity, so you should be able to get
so I can get.
Peacock.
I thought Yellowstone was on a different platform.
Well, if you on regular cable like me, even though I do pay for Peacock to get wrestling, and I'm not talking about wrestling.
See, I thought it was Paramount.
Paramount Network on cable.
Okay,
Peacock,
that's where
Peacock has the rights to it.
Okay, for the
streaming. I don't know why.
That's
don't ask
such
me why.
A jacked up.
I don't know how that makes any sense.
Eventually, that's one that Mrs. C wants to watch, and the coordination gets a little tricky. Like trying to get with the boys to stay up with Titans, and trying to get them for Doom Patrol.
Right. I got you. No, I know. I went through it. I've told you we were supposed to have story time. Couldn't finish the movie that was involved because somebody is never available to finish the movie. So therefore, story time for this particular film went in the crapper.
As it's slow to be done.
So I understand completely where you're coming from. Tomorrow night, though.
Tomorrow night.
This will be another show that we update you on weekly. Again, there's going to be a delay because it's another Thursday show.
Yeah, but the vampires are back.
Yes, What We Do in the Shadows returns for season 3. Cannot wait. Already been renewed for season 4.
Oh my God. The vampires are awesome.
Yes, can't wait to start doing week by week reviews on that. And another show that I do want to watch. Eventually, I'll get Netflix back again. Yes, I did cancel it again.
That's almost what you have to do with all the streaming.
And I told you the day I will get it back is the day that the Thieves, the Safecracker.
Oh,
the sequel to, or the prequel to Army of the Dead.
Yeah, Army of the Dead 2.
No, that's not the title, and I can't remember off the top of my head what it is.
Was it Army of Thieves?
That's it, yes.
Army of Thieves.
Yes.
Dieter's backstory.
The day that premieres is the day I will start back up again.
Yeah, that we're dying to see.
But I also, again, there are so many options out there, even though I bitch and piss and moan about Netflix and HBO Max and Amazon. Between them all, yes, there are plenty of options. So I do at some point want to watch Cobra Kai.
Yeah, I know. That's one I really want to see.
Season 4 is getting ready to premiere, and they've already renewed that for season 5.
Yeah.
That's how well that's doing.
One I've wanted to see, and I can't believe we haven't gotten to it yet.
I know. And again, that's one I'm going to have to wait on now without Netflix. I'll have to wait a couple months. We reviewed The Old Guard recently, not overly impressed.
No, it was...
But they are, because it
depressing.
Was very successful. They are going to make The Old Guard 2, and Charlize is coming back.
I'm really seriously considering giving that one a hard pass.
Oh, I wouldn't have a problem passing on that. I didn't think the first one was all that good.
No. So
I have learned, and this is coming in the third segment, I have now learned my lesson when it comes to wasting my time with Hollywood.
There's a point where you just have to cut ties, or as they say, just cut bait and run.
Another show that, and again, a lot of Netflix news here, so bear with me. I know you're sitting there going, you just said you canceled Netflix. Why are you talking about Netflix?
Because after they canceled it, then they go up with everything he wants to see.
Then I'll wait a couple months, let the stuff build up. That's why I'm waiting on Disney Plus till I can watch all these shows all at once instead of week by week by week. Another show I've been interested in watching, Manifest, which originally was on NBC.
Yeah.
Canceled by NBC. Now they're going to bring it back for a 20-episode fourth and final season on Netflix because fan outcry. And when they picked up
all 12 of you out there,
they picked up the first 3 seasons and all, all
the
kids started watching it, and it just blew the doors off and the roof off. And so now they love Manifest, and they're going to do it.
Yeah, I was not that interested to begin with, so I don't know if I can pull it off or not.
But I do admire the fact. So did you watch some of it?
No, it didn't show enough. I didn't have the
story
interest.
Idea.
It didn't interest me.
Okay. But the one thing I do like that Netflix does, and I'm not going to specifically talk about Manifest, but Lucifer.
Yeah, they will pick
up some of these shows. Longmire was number 1. Perfect example of them saving Longmire from the idiots. What, at A&E? Was that where it was originally?
Yeah. It's just a shame Netflix wasn't around
for Terriers.
When Terriers was let go.
Oh, yeah. All the crap they got on Hulu now.
Ugh.
And they can't pick up Terriers.
But we digress.
Yes, we do.
View Askew news.
Oh, you've got some news. Okay.
Clerks 3 has wrapped.
Wrapped? It's already done?
They finished filming.
Oh, my God. That was about the shortest shoot in the history of mankind.
Yeah. Mrs. C let me know that. Kevin Smith posted that Clerks 3 wrapped the filming, and now the editing begins.
So probably, I would imagine, early 2022 release.
I would hope.
Cool. Very cool. Now, we talked a couple weeks ago about another series that we love, where Sylvester Stallone teased
Ugh.
Expendables 4. It is on.
Yes.
Statham is back.
Yes.
Lundgren is back.
Yes.
Tony Yah, I think that's how you say his name, the martial arts expert.
Yeah.
He's going to be in it.
Excellent.
You want to know what the rumors are as far as the title?
What's the subtitle?
A Christmas Story.
Yes, we go back to Statham's character.
So
I love it. I love it.
Cannot wait for that.
Honestly, oh my God,
I've got to watch
beautiful.
at least 3 again, because when I watched 3, I got distracted and I think I broke it up too much. So I need to sit down and watch 3.
That's going to be a triple feature to get ready for that one.
Yep. And God bless Stallone. He's still those steroids. He's embalmed, but he's still
he's fine.
He was obviously the voice of King Shark in the Suicide Squad.
Yep.
He's got Samaritan coming out at some point where he plays an aging superhero. He's trying. He just had Rambo out a couple years ago.
You know what? God bless him for continuing on.
Yep.
All right. We do have to get to our movie review for the week.
I want to save it for the last segment.
Oh, are we?
I have to. It's a tie-in.
There's a tie-in.
It's going. Everything I've got left on my sheet of news and reviews ties into
the rant,
the epic final segment of our weekend edition for Labor Day. So, do you have anything left? Do you have any more tidbits of news to throw at me?
I'm good at this point.
Okay, I do have one more. I just found one more. Paramount is panicking about the pandemic yet again. News came out today.
Oh, they can't create enough content to keep it going?
Top Gun 2 has been moved again. Now will not come out until May of 2022.
This is getting freaking ridiculous.
Mission Impossible has been moved 7, the 7th installment, which I can't wait for because I love the MI movies. Has been moved all the way back to September of 2022. And even Jackass is not immune to this. The 4th Jackass has been moved out of 2021 and will now not hit until February of 2022.
Die Another Day. I just saw...
Or No Time to Die?
Or No Time to Die, sorry. October. They cannot push this back any further.
They just released the final trailer for it.
They did, and it's supposed to be released in October finally.
Right.
There's no way. The studio cannot push it back financially. That's what I've heard.
Well, now, technically, Amazon now owns MGM and UA. So they should be okay now in terms of money.
Should be, but this one, they can't push it back anymore.
You want a conspiracy theory as we wrap up the second segment? Who is the one streaming company? I mean, Netflix doesn't do it. Outside of Netflix, who's the one streaming company that doesn't take their own releases and put them out there for a extra fee like Disney does with Black Widow? You could stay at home and watch Black Widow and didn't have to go to the theaters, but you had to pay an extra $30 to see it. I could see now that Amazon has acquired the James Bond catalog.
That it could go to Prime.
They might try to pull that, where they say this will be our
simultaneous
first premium release.
I will not pay extra to watch it from home.
$30 is a lot.
That's
I'm sorry.
Ridiculous.
I've told you that. Now, for a family of... See, for your family, it might be actually okay cost-wise. Everybody wanted to watch it.
Yeah, but there are some that you want to go to the theater to see.
True.
Some of these, it's the experience that you want on the big screen.
Yep. And I think that's why
there's a tradition with the Bond films, the last several, going as a family to the theater to see.
Right. And I think what we're seeing, we can tie this into our review last week when we reviewed Reminiscence and we talked about the more adult oriented, no, get your minds out of the gutter. That's not where I'm going.
Perverts.
But we talked about the Angelina Jolie movie, Those Who Wish Me Dead.
Yes.
Again, movies that skew older.
Where there's more thought involved.
Right. And how they have been huge disappointments for Warner Brothers and HBO Max in terms of the box office they pulled in. Now, the streaming part might have done okay.
Yeah.
But they couldn't pull in anything in the box office.
No.
Because the pandemic is killing, again, no pun intended. Don't take it the wrong way. The older people that want to go see movies won't now because they're more at risk, even with vaccinations.
Yeah.
They're more at risk to pick up the Delta variant, so they stay at home. They might stream it, they might not, but they're not going to the theaters. On the flip side, Godzilla versus Kong was a huge, monstrous success. It made $100 million at the box office, even though it was released in the early stages of the recovery, because, like you said, it needs to be seen on a big screen.
Right.
And it skews younger.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting with Bond to see which way that goes, because that, to me, even though it's an action movie, even though it's something you want to see on the big screen, it also skews a little older.
That's one Mrs. C and I are gearing up to take the boys for, if we can pull that off. If we can get schedules to align.
Sure.
But if not, she and I are going.
Planets in orbit. Yeah, I know what you mean. Again. All right, kids. Can you feel it? Can you feel the earth move under your feet?
The smoke is starting to billow. The face is getting red.
Hopefully the conquistador will indulge me.
The heart monitor is starting to build.
The ambulance is on call.
I've got 911 dialed.
He's got an epinephrine pen.
Defibrillators ready to go.
We're going to do an epic meltdown with the maestro. I have just too many of these stupid stories and these stupid headlines this week. I have to address this. I'm going to do it all in one shot and tie it all in together. Get it out of my system.
There you go.
Purge my blackened heart and blackened soul and move on from this point.
There you go. Stay tuned. Get ready to buckle in. It's going to be a wild ride.
Are you tired of getting body slammed by the mainstream sports media? Are you sick of their lame trash talk? Check out Sports Frenzy 2.0 with a tag team of the Maestro and the Conquistador. Pile drive those jackasses into submission. Available on all major podcast hosts, including Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Apple, Overcast, and Castbox. Kev and Dave slap a figure 4 on all the major sports networks who lie, kiss ass, and refuse to take names. New episodes drop every Thursday with new weekend edition episodes every Saturday. And that's the bottom line, because Sports Frenzy said so. Awesome refreshment for an awesome weekend, the final weekend of summer. Enjoy it.
Happy Labor Day, everybody.
This is the weekend edition of Sports Frenzy 2.0, taping on the 1st of September. This will hit on the 4th. Available everywhere. Google, Apple, Radio Public, Breaker, CastBox, anywhere you find your fine and wonderful podcasts.
Leave us some positive comments and rate us highly now before you hear the epic rant, which may dissuade you.
Check out our Facebook page. I promise no rants there. All right. Before we get into the muck, the mire that is Hollywood, we do want to give proper respect for our moments of silence. Of course, the big passing this week was Ed Asner.
Oof, yeah, that was a big one. Such an iconic actor for so long.
And then he was also a big force for labor rights, I believe, right? Wasn't he the head of the Screen Actors Guild for a long time?
Yeah.
Something like that.
It could be a little off-putting here and there, but there's no denying what he brought as an actor.
I also have Michael Nader, known for All My Children, but also was a prominent actor on the original Dynasty.
Yep, not one that I ever watched, but popular in its day.
I think he was one of Joan Collins' 57 husbands.
Probably. Wasn't she married to everybody on the show at one point or another?
That Joan Collins was a saucy wench back in the day, let me tell you.
Yes, she
I have
was.
many fond memories of Cinemax After Dark. I seem to recall a scene in an elevator.
Yes, between her and Morgan Fairchild.
Yes. Wonderful memories of childhood.
Wonderful memories of childhood.
Oh, my God. Good stuff. You see, you're trying to get me in a better mood.
I am.
So I don't go ballistic.
Legendary bluegrass banjo player Bill Emerson has passed away. So he was big in his day.
And of course, this one goes out to our friend, our compadre, the Big Blue W. Can't be here anymore with us. He used to do the YouTube tapings that we had there going for a while.
Inagata Davida, baby.
That's one of his great sayings. And of course, Ron Bushy, the drummer for Iron Butterfly, passed. Anytime I hear that song, I first and foremost think of the Big Blue W.
Yep. Hard not to.
Yep.
So those are the big ones that we had for the week.
Okay. Now we have a movie review we're going to use as a transition into
the muck and mire.
Yes, my final angry, bitter rant about Hollywood. I have to say something first before I'm going to let Dave get into the review first. I want to say a couple things. I apologize. I was the one that suggested this movie. I thought maybe like The Ice Road, it would be a solid, good action movie.
Yeah. I had hopes.
Here's the other thing, and I'm going to apologize to you again, twice. Mark this down. Mark this date down. September the 1st, 2021.
Can I get that in blood?
2 apologies within a minute to the Conquistador. This happened, I want to say, within the first couple months we started the podcast, where there was a movie where I slogged through and got through the whole thing and you gave up. You just couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah, it was Kristen Stewart's
Underwater.
Underwater.
Okay. This is my make good on this. For Underwater. I tried so hard to get through this. I got through an hour and I just said, I can't fucking do this anymore.
See, after 54 minutes, the halfway point, I had stopped.
Which is probably where I stopped completely.
I went back to it the next night to finish it off.
Now, part of it was my fault in that I knew my Netflix was canceling, but I had 3 or 4 days when we first decided to watch this one. And I tried and I tried. I watched like half hour, and then I watched another half hour, and I thought I had an extra day, and I didn't. But I was actually relieved. I had an excuse not to subject myself to the last 45 minutes of this.
And have we mentioned what we're talking about? No. Sweet Girl.
Yeah, sorry.
Jason Momoa, and I couldn't tell you anybody else's name.
Amy Brenneman.
Yeah.
They dug her out of some crypt somewhere. Boy, she looks rough. Wasn't actually all that enamored with her back in NYPD Blue days.
Yeah, no, they just drug her in as the wife, and
oh my lord, she's the congresswoman,
or the congresswoman. Sorry,
who brokers the deals, fights with the pharmaceutical company,
and you would think something like this might have a revenge movie.
Yes,
would have a faster pace.
This is why I picked it, was because it sounded like something we could get into. A revenge movie where
it's going
Jason Momoa is going to go to town on the pharmaceutical companies.
But 5 minutes in, the pace was so slow, and it was a slog. And after the TV interview with his dying wife, where he calls into the pharmaceutical rep and the politician who's on, I knew at that point who was going to be the mastermind behind the whole debacle going forward.
It had the feel of a Lifetime movie that wanted to be a little edgier. It had
couldn't
that cheap,
pull it
cheesy, awful feel to it.
The acting across the board was awful. The pacing was horrendous.
And again,
did you get to the twist?
The last thing I remember watching was when they brought the assassin in. When there
was it on the subway, or where he bought the Volkswagen?
After he bought the Volkswagen, about 5 minutes after he bought the Volkswagen, I was out.
Okay, so you didn't see anything after that?
No, the last scene, and we're not spoiling anything for you kids. The last scene I saw was Momoa was parked with his daughter outside the house, and the Volkswagen was pulling up down the road.
Okay.
That's where I was like, I can't take this anymore. Because before you elaborate on the parts that I didn't see, as much as you can without spoiling it for the audience, I was done with it. I was like, okay, it's terrible. It's low budget. It's going nowhere. I'll stick with it. When they came back after time had passed, and his daughter is beating up grown men at the local gym,
anger issues,
I was like, can we put some level of reality in this? I mean, come on. I'm sorry, and I'm sure there are trained assassins somewhere who are little tiny, small people who could beat up fighters in the gym. But come on. I mean, she was terrible. She was she wouldn't listen to her dad when her dad would tell her, stay away from this, don't do this. No, I'm going to go in and I'm going to be a nosy little millennial brat.
See, there is a twist in this one, which when they finally is revealed, when it finally catches up to the beginning on top of the roof.
Right. Yeah, because they foreshadow at the beginning of the movie, the end of the movie, or the climax.
When it's not fully the climax,
okay,
but it's half hour before, is where the twist kicks in that I will not reveal to all of our listeners. I'll fill you in when we're done.
Okay.
That being said, it didn't help the movie. it was, oh, wow, okay, that kind of explains a couple of things, but it does not help the movie overall. In fact, it leads more
questions than answers.
No, it kind of leads to your little rant, but
which let's get into that now. Let's start the rant
so,
because I want to start off.
All right.
What do you give it?
I'm giving it a 1.5.
Okay.
It was tough to get through. The pacing was awful. They tried the twist. That's what gave it that extra half from being a 1. But it was just so poorly acted. The pacing was god awful. They blew a phenomenal story idea.
Again, that's what appealed to me. Was I thought this could be like almost like an 80s revenge movie.
Yeah.
Like
it fell so damn flat. It's not even funny. Stay away from Sweet Girl. And it's a sweet idea, but no.
I want to talk about Jason Momoa, and then we'll lead into all this other stuff. Okay, Jason Momoa, I've tried to like the guy. I have really tried to like the guy. And I get it. The chicks love him. Big, muscular, tattooed, dreamy eyes, long hair. Oh, he's so awesome. He sucked as Aquaman.
Yep.
I get it. We worship 80s action movies.
You know, I will.
And Steven Seagal, he couldn't act, and he never changed the ponytail, but somehow he made it work. The movies were better written. They were more intense. They were bloodier.
I will say, the one character I like from Momoa was in the show Frontier.
Right, I remember you loved that.
Frontier was phenomenal. The character he played in there was great.
Right.
Everything else I have not been impressed with.
But we have to celebrate him as a superstar celebrity. Oh my God, he's awesome. Oh my God, he's great. And I'm sure everybody's going to say now that Sweet Girl is a huge hit on Netflix. I'm with you. I can't understand the appeal. He's never going to change. He's not an actor. And this is part of my problem where I'm going here. He's like, to me, we were talking about Jungle Cruise off mic.
Yeah.
I can't stand Dwayne Johnson. I can't stand him. But yet, because of the Hollywood mystique, because of who he is, because he can talk smooth, and he's got tattoos and muscles, and the chicks dig him. Now he's running for president? What have we become as a society? When does acting actually matter anymore? Instead of how you look in the political agenda you're driving. Because let's get into some of that. Everybody's celebrating Candyman. Candyman did great at the box office this past week. $22 million. Everybody's saying, oh, it's fantastic. It brought in all these minorities. It brought in all these diverse people.
Didn't we see this already back in the 80s?
This is like not a reboot, kind of a sequel kind of deal.
The first one wasn't that great. Candyman 2 wasn't that great. Why are we trying to redo it yet again?
That's where I'm going with this. Because I've got other stuff to talk about. Oh my God. Everybody's saying, well, this is because of Jordan Peele, because Jordan Peele attached his name to it. Jordan Peele is the Lord God Savior of Hollywood right now. He's getting all these first look deals, all these straight to series deals, because everybody now all of a sudden thinks because of Get Out and Us that he is the genius of all time because he does black horror.
Okay.
Great for him. I'll give him credit for one thing. Now, he didn't direct this. He's just an executive producer. He got his name attached to this. This isn't like his movie. Okay?
So if he's
at least he tries to do original stories.
Yeah. I do give him credit for the original stuff. I lambast him for attaching his name to yet another retread.
Here's where we go off the rails, because we're going to talk about some retreads. I'm done. I am done. What movie, we're going back decades, what movie have I always pointed to that said the start of the fall of Hollywood and this PC crap started with what movie?
Wild Wild West.
Will Smith as James West was a blasphemy. And it was the start of this crap. Now it's just steamrolling. Now it's just a boulder accumulating dirt and grass and snow as it rolls down and continues to roll down the hills of Hollywood. And I'm sick of it.
If you want to have diversity and bring things in, how about we come up with new ideas, new films, new characters? Why do we have to continue and try and conform long existing? Why do we have to go backwards? Why can we not move forward with new original content?
I know we've talked about this before, and you make an excellent point, but I'm going to go one step further. I think this is insidious. I think this is horrific. And I think the people in Hollywood who want to talk about diversity and we're making movies for diverse, different classes of people are the worst racists and homophobes out there. And you want to know why? Because what they're trying to do is they're trying to cancel my childhood. They're trying to cancel your childhood because we don't matter. We stole everything from everybody else. We don't have a culture, Dave. You and I don't have you read how many damn books a year, but you don't have a culture.
Yeah,
you don't
I know
matter.
Nothing. I know nothing.
Here are the two that I read this week that pissed me off. Where I said, I'm done.
What are they redoing now?
The Rocketeer, which I remember loving when I was younger with Tom Campbell. Billy Campbell.
Billy Campbell.
Sorry.
It was okay. It wasn't phenomenal.
I enjoyed it immensely. It had a childhood wonder to it that I enjoyed. Now they have to redo it. Disney Plus is going to make a series starring David.
A series?
I think it's a series. Maybe it's a movie.
What? Just stop with the remakes and the reboots.
Now it has to be a Tuskegee Airman who finds the rocket pack. Again,
okay.
like you said, why can't you come up with a goddamn new story? Why do you have to just denigrate and debase and cancel? I'm telling you, it's going to get to the point where they're going to just get rid of. You won't be able to get the Rocketeer anymore. They're going to replace it with their version, with the version they like and the version they want. This is why I'm saying this is insidious. This is disgusting, and there is some level of
lot of
conspiracy going on here. Great word, malevolence, fantastic word. Number 2, the CW, who we've talked about, the most disgusting PC engine on television.
Started out so well.
Remember Tom Swift?
How are they going to F up Tom Swift?
Tom Swift is coming to... Maybe this is what I'm thinking about, a series. So The Rocketeer is going to be a movie on
Tom
Disney
Swift
Plus.
Was a series.
Tom Swift is going straight to series on the CW. Tom Swift, I guess, made a guest appearance on Nancy Drew. That series.
So he's gay?
Black gay billionaire. And you want to tell me there's not some kind of goddamn fucking malevolent conspiracy where
Lord.
they are canceling every part of our culture to fit their political agendas.
This shit has got to stop.
I'm done with it.
If you want to have the characters create something new, stop taking everything that's already been done.
New stories. That's all we're asking. Don't denigrate. Don't destroy our childhood.
You know what?
Come up with something new.
I'm fine if you want to do a new character. That's great.
When does Shaft become a gay white man? When does that happen, Dave? It's not going to happen because it won't be allowed.
Right.
Because that doesn't fit.
Turnabout.
That doesn't
fit the Hollywood agenda.
Remember we were talking about the GIMP?
Yeah.
So.
What, are they redoing Pulp Fiction now?
No. Quentin Tarantino is one of the quote-unquote cool people in Hollywood. They won't mess with his stuff. They love him because he thinks he's black. But that's a story for another day. The Sweet Girl thing, I couldn't deal with it. Netflix ran out after I tried, so I had to find something to watch. I was all caught up on Animal Kingdom. I was all caught up on the other shows, the few other shows that I've been watching. So I figured, let's go on Hulu. I go on Hulu like once a month, and I'm...
So why didn't you start
Bosch? Always disappointed. I will watch Bosch at some point in time. I think the problem is I get lazy with that because I know I'm not getting rid of Amazon Prime, so it's always going to be there. That's not an excuse. That and The Boys. I've got to start watching The Boys. I need to
start watching. I tried to get the boys to watch The Boys with me, and I think that's going to be a fail.
So I went on Hulu. I was like, Hulu, my $2 a month promo expires in a couple months. I got to start watching stuff. So I saw American Horror Stories, the series, right? Not the regular,
right? But the
standalone anthology series.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, maybe I can take this in small doses. Maybe I can take, I'd like 1984 just because of the nostalgia thing.
Right.
I haven't really watched the other ones. I know you said some of them are good.
Freak Show was decent. Coven was okay. Asylum was bizarre but tolerable.
So I start watching the anthology. So I turn on the first one. Family moves into a house. Father, mother, teenage daughter. Guess what? It's the Leatherman house, the Rubber Man house. Remember that from the first season?
God. Yeah, the one that I bailed after 3
daughter,
episodes.
This is how disgusting this is. The teenage daughter she finds the suit and starts putting it on and starts getting... This is like a 15 or 16-year-old freaking girl.
Nope. Sorry.
You know who this is? Now, this is where I keep going on the rant. This is Ryan Murphy, who Disney has basically given FX to. Ryan Murphy's got all we talked about. Now they're going to do American, Love Story and American Sports Story. All these Ryan Murphy
is a sick, twisted bastard.
He's a sick, but because he's gay, he's allowed to be sick and twisted.
You cannot do that with an underage kid.
I don't know. Maybe she's 18. I don't know. But she looked damn young to me. Looked too damn young. Creeped the fuck out of me, and I turned that sucker off like that. I was like, this is why I can't deal with Hollywood anymore. It's disgusting to do that.
There are places you just don't freaking go.
But Ryan Murphy can do it because he fits the profile of what Hollywood wants.
No, there's no excuse on that one.
Then I saw this. This was wonderful. You know who Elliot Page is?
Yes.
Used to be Ellen Page.
Yeah.
Remember
the pregnant
Juno? The pregnant girl in Juno?
Yeah.
Yeah, but now it's Elliot. And Deadline.com, which is the foremost website for Hollywood news, calls her the champion of the underrepresented. And it's like, no, she's not. She's a person who can't deal with what she was born with in terms of her genitalia. And I'm so tired of people freaking saying, it's okay. You're comfortable with your skin, but you're the one that's wrong. You're the freak. You're the one that doesn't belong in society. I told you this. I want to be a zebra. I'm going to be known as a zebra from now on. Because if everybody else can decide who they are and what they are and just can't... Here's the thing. Move on and just live your life and deal with society's bigger problems.
Yeah, stop trying to ram everything front and center. Move on.
So Hollywood, I'm not watching The Equalizer. You've ruined that for me.
Pretty much.
Screw off with this Tom Swift thing, which could be the biggest offense of them all.
It's pretty bad.
And now you celebrate this Mike Richards thing. This is the final part I want to get to in this rant. You will find and dig up anything on anybody you want if
Except
they don't
yourself.
Right. If they don't fit your political narrative, if they don't fit in to your little radical agenda, you will find out a way to crush them and destroy them.
Well,
and this idiot
they crushed Ken Jennings before he even had a shot and he didn't even say anything major.
Who's the other champion? Like the second most well-known champion.
Holzhauer coming out against Richards?
Yeah, let's dig into his life. Let's dig into his life and find out if he's poly purebred.
Yeah,
I bet you he's done something
for a living.
I bet you he's done something offensive beyond all belief. But now because he sided with the Hollywood literati.
The whole thing is crap. Social media,
whole rant,
the downfall of everything,
this whole rant
is taking over.
Is my way of telling Hollywood, fuck off. I'm not playing your game anymore. I won't watch your crap. I won't give it the time of day until you realize that you don't get to cancel 70%, 60% of America's population because they don't fit your little
agenda.
Vast, disturbing to me, twisted,
disgusting,
insidious narrative.
We're done. We don't want your crap.
I'm not woke. I'll never be woke. I don't want to be woke. I want to be me. And you don't have the right to cancel me, cancel my best friend, or anybody else, and destroy our childhoods by constantly, consistently rewriting, redoing the things that we grew up with that we love.
If you want to have this stuff, create something new. Quit screwing around what's already there. That's all we want. Leave the past as is. Move forward.
But no, these people live in the past. They want to punish everyone because of the past, even if they had no direct part in the past.
Guess what? I had no direct part in the past either.
But you
leave
still
my
get
shit alone.
You still get to destroy our childhoods.
Guess what? You all want to be recognized. We want to be recognized.
And it's not racist. It's not homophobic. You're the racist. You're the homophobes. You hate heterosexuals. You hate white men. Admit it. Just admit it. I can see it plain as day, and this is the last straw. When you did this with Tom Swift, this is the last damn straw. Dave said it. Come up with something new, but you can't because you're morally and creatively bankrupt. And all you're trying to do now is run a political agenda down everybody's throat. And you wonder why there's so much anger out there. You wonder why there's so much hate out there because you are canceling out part of society, a large part of society, and we're sick of it. We're done with it.
Bye-bye.
I won't go see your piece of crap, revamped, redone movies. I won't watch the Netflix crap. I won't watch the Amazon Prime crap. I won't watch the Hulu crap. I won't do it anymore. There's younger people I know. You may have indoctrinated them. You're not indoctrinating me. And I will fight tooth and nail to make sure you don't win.
Yep. And my under 24 kids are sick of all this crap as well.
So there's hope.
And on that note, do have a happy Labor Day. Be safe. Celebrate responsibly. And until next week, he's the maestro.
He's a conquistador.
Enjoy.
We didn't have to call the ambulance, so all is good.
You were much more mellow.
I know. I told you yesterday I would have blown a gasket. Today, maybe just blown a tie rod.
There you go.
All right, kids, be responsible. Don't drink and drive. We'll see you next week.
At least you didn't blow a piston going through Detroit.
See ya.